segment to talk about best and worst from Disney. So, again, we've talked about pandy times. This is a completely different kind of traveling experience. You can't park hop. You got to make a reservation for parks in advance. There's no fast passes. You have to wait in standby line. Park hours are really weird. I like one of them, and I'll tell you later. Masks everywhere, food, menu slimmed down, all sorts of stuff. So we'll do best first. And I'll start with you, Ryan, if you've got a couple of your best things from this Disney trip in pandemic time.
Well, I'll start with the resort, I guess. I think I was at Jumbo House, which is only open to DVC members right now. And if you don't want to see anybody else at your hotel, stay at Jumbo House because there's literally nobody there. The only time I saw people was in the morning when some people would go to the bus and head to a park. Otherwise, it was dead. If you ever went back during the day or at night, there was literally nobody there. So that was, I don't know, it could be good if you like that. The downside is there's nothing open at Jumbo House. The pool's open, but there's no food or anything available. You have to go to Kidani and if you want something. Outside of that, I think overall I felt, there were some times where crowds were a little higher, but I thought overall crowds were pretty good for when we were there. I didn't really feel like anything was overcrowded. We didn't really wait terribly long for anything. So I don't know if the rides are all pretty much the same outside of distancing and like cleaning cycles and stuff. So there's nothing really too much change there. So I think overall, it's you got to have different expectations, but it wasn't bad or anything. So
yeah, are you glad you went?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, Angela, what do you think?
So it's different, right? Like you have to acknowledge that from the get-go. It's not going to be the same. There were a couple of things that like we were just used to having. So from BCV standpoint, from Beach Club Villas, housekeeping, I'm not real sure what the deal was with that. We kind of missed a memo or two maybe on that one. Like our room never got hit.
Never, ever. Like we're talking not even trash taken out, no toilet paper, nothing.
Yeah.
No extra towels or anything.
Yeah. Now we did, like when we would call down, so Leslie and I got there Wednesday, and then everybody else arrived on Thursday. So when Leslie and I first got there, we knew we were going to have extra people in our room. We called down to housekeeping, got all of our extras, all of our coffee, all that good stuff. And they brought it to us, no problem. But yeah, I'm not real sure what happened with housekeeping. So that was kind of a downer. Our tub was clogged, right? So our tub did not drain. That kind of wasn't fun. So
especially when we have 4 women staying in one room with one shower.
And we've stayed in rooms with up to 5 of us and not really had a problem. So that was a little bit off. And then I will just say, like, as a whole, there were just like some so for instance, the carpet in our hallway leading down to our room, like multiple bleach stains on the carpet in various places. It just kind of felt a little rough around the edges this time. So not what we were used to at BCV, but still very grateful that we were there. And then kind of just what's been touched on already, parks as a whole, everything was going to be different. We knew that going into it. So we were just kind of grateful to be going, grateful that we had the opportunity, to pull it off financially. We kind of do it, I think, one of the most economical ways possible. So, happy with that and just happy to be back in the parks. One of the things that I'm, always kind of cognizant of is the number of cast members that are without jobs or have been furloughed or laid off. Those are the people to me that make the difference. That very first trip to Disney World, yes, it was about the parks and yes, it was about the rides and the experiences, but it was how those cast members made me feel. And like, I don't get sappy. Ryan, if I see you laughing, I'm flying to Wisconsin to punch you. But it really was like the cast members, because I was wearing like my first visit button. they made me feel like I was the only person who had ever been to Disney World for the first time that day. So not having as many cast members around was really tough. And to be able to see, some of them are just stressed the fuck out because people are so hideous sometimes. So that was kind of a bummer. Like if you kind of peeled back the top layer and looked underneath, you kind of noticed, a little bit of the not so great stuff. But all in all, it was fine. We did pretty much everything that we wanted to do. It's tough not park hopping. So I'm really glad about going back in January just to have the opportunity to end the days, which I think for us will probably be, we're ending every day at Epcot, it sounds like. So we're excited to have that back. So again, we were just glad to be able to go and like maybe in some small way contribute to the parks opening up fully again as soon as possible. So it's going to take a whole lot to get me to get burned out or dissatisfied with Disney.
So and so what Angela touched on is something that I'm dealing with here where I live, which is another very tourism dependent city. And you're seeing places that are not a theme park, but just restaurants and bars and different stuff like that closed down, or people having to pivot to find other job opportunities. And so it was important to me because I am still friends with many, many cast members from when I worked there 30 years ago. That was a 3. It's not quite 3, but we're real close, like less than 5 years close. So, I know quite a few of them between Walt Disney Company and resorts and the theme parks themselves and Imagineering that have lost jobs and still live in the city. And, I was there in Orlando for 2 weeks-ish, about a month before we all went together. And so I got to see, restaurants and bars that I used to go to in non-pandemic times and how they were struggling and precautions that they were taking to make sure that everyone there was safe. Because if you've got one place that's blowing up, it means no tourist is going to go there. So I appreciated that. I was really disappointed in Beach Club.
That was
I can't even. And Beth and I had a litany of problems when we first checked in. Magic bands didn't work. We couldn't even get into the room. We probably would have found this out had we taken Magical Express, but Beth found a really great deal and we rented a car. So that was a positive for the week. So we had a large SUV to drive the 5 of us around to avoid, which I thought was great because we got to avoid Disney public transportation, the bus waits and all of that, which are already frustrating to begin with. I don't want to see what it looks like in pandemic times. I think Ryan waited like an hour for a bus to Epcot from Animal Kingdom Lodge, probably because he was the only one staying there. But, so we were happy that we had the car, but we couldn't get in the gate at Beach Club. We couldn't get into our room. We went down and she reset everything. And then she's like, so we're going to text you when your room is ready. I'm like, well, no, they've already checked in. They got here yesterday. But then I could charge on my Magic Band. But then Angela paid for everything. So thanks, Angela.
You're welcome.
Yay.
No problem.
Free trip for me. And the poor gal was really, really struggling at the front desk. And they were training new people at the front desk, which is frustrating to me because I know there's plenty of front desk cast members that have been laid off based on seniority. And it was just stuff that we've never encountered on a Disney trip, that when you encounter it during this time when you're paying such a premium to stay is incredibly disappointing. And then you get upstairs and you see that it looks like 19 murders have happened in the hallway and they've just poured bleach to, like, we would, how we found our room? Like, just walk to the biggest bleach spot and it's the door right before that.
That's legit how we were like tagging it. And I think, I think it's important to point out these things because it helps us appreciate like how magical that place is when it's firing on all cylinders. And you're
Yeah.
talking about this knowing, like being able to tell that cast members were out of their element. You know, like Leslie and I, our deal is we love eating breakfast every morning in Paris. Like we don't care what's happening for the rest of the day. We like to get up early. We like to rope drop. We like to be there so that we can get into that bakery. And while we were very happy to be there, the people that were working there were not our France people. Like it was people from food or quick service spots. And I'm sorry, but Brittany just does not know how to get ham and cheese on point the same way that my boy Pierre does. So we really need to work hard. Like the ratios on the sandwich were off. Like it was just, again, it's stuff that you complain about and you go like, well, what kind of privileged fucking life am I leading? But at the end of the day, it makes a difference because those kinds of things are what you're paying for when you're going to Disney. So I can't wait for them to start bringing in like people who actually worked, the different spots because it completely makes a difference.
So like to basically sum up my take on Beach Club Villas is I might as well have been staying at Swan and Dolphin because at least I get Marriott points. It was just not.
It was not that classic.
The experience was no, and from someone that's Witty owns DVC. I've looked into it numerous times. I can't imagine DVC owners knowing that maintenance fee check is coming up, are real thrilled with the condition of the resort that they pay maintenance fees into. And it's not because of the NBA. The NBA stayed at Yacht Club. Maybe we should have stayed at Yacht Club. But there's that. My other concern was because again, y'all go for the rides and stuff. I go for more of just the theme park enjoyment and food. And I was real disappointed. I see why they're doing it from a cost-cutting measure and a way to, streamline ordering and stuff. But I was real disappointed with slimmed-down menus everywhere. We knew what it was going to be like at Haleo, and we still went. And we had an amazing time. Teets ate so much crazy stuff. He still hasn't had octopus. Maybe that will happen.
I know. He ate crazy shit like medium rare steak.
I mean, but so the slimmed-down menus places were kind of disappointing. Crowds were real weird, especially at Magic Kingdom, but that place always triggers me anyway.
Yeah, Magic Kingdom is just a smorgasbord of all sorts of fun, isn't it?
But that's where, and if you guys have been following Teetzin around the world, you've probably seen the episode where Witty, Ryan, and I went to check out Geyser Point, which was fantastic, other than those Ohio State fans.
My God, they were the worst.
Literally, have you been to a bar before? No, I'm waiting in line. You can wait behind me. You just don't get to walk up in pandemic times. You don't do that. You lost Angela. What are some other thoughts? What did she say?
I don't know. I don't know. What else? Well, we lost our California Grill reservation. That was less than ideal.
Oh, talk about that real quick because because of that ADR glitch, we were able to get a better Sanaa time in Cali Grill. And then somehow Witty always makes money when she goes to Disney. In January, it was like $2,000. This time, it was enough to buy a couple Spirit jerseys.
Because they released a bunch of. Apparently, they did a system upgrade and they released a bunch of ADRs that weren't supposed to be released. And then so Witty got us a better because originally we were at Sanaa for at 5:30. So then she got us one for 7. So that was better.
Actually 5:30 is when Angela and Leslie eat anyway because old.
And then we got a California Grill for what Sunday? It was Sunday or Saturday? I don't. Was it Sunday?
When did we do fondue? It was going to be Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we did fondue on Sunday for the Saints game.
Yeah, and Well, the California Grill one ended up getting canceled because of the glitch or whatever, and then Disney sent out $25 gift cards for every reservation that was canceled. But because it was like the day of the Sanaa, they never canceled the Sanaa one, so we got to have that one. But Woody still got the gift card.
Yeah. So Woody racked up like $150 in gift cards from canceled reservations. And the California Grill thing makes me so angry because we didn't book it when we had, well, I had one for like 9 o'clock, which is when I like to eat. But these other people like to eat at like between 5 and 7, like olds. I can't eat that early. But so Woody and I were going to go anyway, but I was like kind of wishy-washy about it because the menu was so stripped down and terrible. And then like 2 days before the trip, they added burrata and potato pizza and all sorts of things. So I was back super excited about California Grill. And then she got like a 7:40 reservation time, which would have been perfect. But then Disney canceled it. And so instead, we did another off-property adventure and we went to Simply Fondue.
Melted cheese in a pot.
It was Teetz's first fondue experience.
And
Teetz was like, I thought this was just going to be cheese and chocolate. Why I have to cook my own steak? We're like, that's how fondue works. It was really cool back in like the 70s.
That kid from Wisconsin.
So any other Disney topics we want to talk about before we get into our feature topic?
I don't think so. Is there
anything else people should know about the trip? So like we mentioned before, at resorts, they do not take your temperature to go into restaurants or the resort.
No, well, they did at Sanaa, remember? They took our temperature.
Oh, Sanaa, they did take our temperature.
Yeah, that was kind of
nowhere at Beach Club did they. Nowhere, pretty much anywhere else we walked into did they. You can park places if you have an ADR there. Though Sanaa, we took an Uber because Woody wanted to have a bottle of Pinotage. Parking, like if you can rent a car and drive, parking is pretty legit because nobody's there. So you're just like parking 2 rows away from the entrance.
I think it was super smart that we had that rental car. That was not something, I mean, that was kind of decided last minute by Woody. And I think that was a lifesaver because transportation, right? Like transportation right now is not great. And like, you know, just that idea of like knowing that it's going to be different, but still occasionally like expecting something to be normal and it's not. Leslie and I were up really early one morning. Go figure.
Oh, yeah.
We just thought that we're like, hey, we're up early. Let's just jump on Skyliner real fast and take a quick little zip through. Hell no. We got like, it was like the biggest monster I've ever seen in my entire life. We ended up getting down to, what is it? Coronado? What is it?
What's Riviera?
Beach? Hub?
Or the Caribbean Beach, yeah.
Yeah, Caribbean Beach. We ended up getting there. And it was like an hour wait to get a Skyliner back to Epcot. We got off at Caribbean and it was just like mayhem. It was like an apocalyptic movie or something. Like all these lines and like some people are moving and some aren't. It was real crazy. So I think, that's actually something that we're looking at for January is to add a rental car on because I think that's money. That is money.
Yeah. So Woody got through Hertz. We had because she's a Hertz Gold or whatever the rewards program is, she automatically gets an upgrade. So she booked one, I think it was like $200 for the 5 days. Mm-hmm. And because she's like Hertz Premium Gold or whatever, we just got to walk through and pick. We tried to get her to get a minivan and she wasn't quite ready for that life yet. So we got the biggest SUV we could get, which was a Chevy Traverse. So it has bucket seats in a 3rd row. So with 5 of us, it was fantastic. We all fit in. And even with going all the way out to Animal Kingdom Lodge to pick up Teets every day, it was still quicker than if we had to take park transportation or resort transportation. Like not even close. And if you're going to rent a car, just bring some singles with you because going from MCO to Disney on the tollway, if you don't want to pay the upcharge from the rental company, it is like they won't take credit cards. It's cash or exact change on the toll road that leads you to Disney. So just remember that, you guys. But yeah, having a car was greatness.
Yeah. We're adding a car more. It's
well,
gonna
yeah,
happen.
because you're so used to it. Also, when I was already there, having my SUV with me, with the exception of walking in the back door at Epcot, we always drove places. Or I never went to Magic Kingdom with you guys, so I never had to worry about that.
I would say like this trip, I remember at past trips that there were times that we did drive, but it was usually like a situation where we knew we were staying like extended
2
hours,
hours.
or like we were going to go to a park and then hit Disney Park after or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was I just like, you cannot rely on transportation. You're not going to get anywhere quickly or efficiently at Disney right now using the transportation. So.
No. And I had a run in on the monorail, and I trust my people, and I trust how I'm living my life in this pandemic. I don't trust anyone else around me. So I don't want to be sitting next to a rando on a bus for longer than I have to. We rode the ferry to Magic Kingdom to and from the TTC. I loved the ferry. I loved how they loaded the ferry. You got there, and if you don't have a stroller or a wheelchair, you're going to the top. If you have a stroller or wheelchair, you're going to the bottom. And I loved that. Yeah, it was great. So earlier, Angela mentioned that this trip gave her a newfound or a newly recognized love for Magic Kingdom. And I'm curious, is it because you got to meet Big Al for the first time?
It had nothing to do with Big Al. I don't know why you even said that name. It's that horrific show that needs to be burned out of that park. Like, it's to be excised like a cancerous mole. It is horrific. Horrific.
So a little background. Ryan's favorite attraction at Magic Kingdom is the Country Bear Jamboree. I've seen it from like my first visit there, back when it used to be like 27 minutes long. This is back when the Diamond Horseshoe still served lunch and had a show. So it's been a hot minute since I've seen it again. But our 3 traveling partners had never experienced the Country Bear Jamboree, even in these pandy times. So we had some time to kill before our dinner at Liberty Tree Tavern, and it is Ryan's favorite. We had to prioritize things we all wanted to do at the park that day. So we went to Country Bear Jamboree. And Ryan warned us all. Keep in mind, this is after Ryan, Woody, and I had been boozing all afternoon at Geyser Point. Yeah. So I go in first, Ryan's sitting next to me, and Woody is on the other side of him. So if you've watched Teetzin Around the World Day 3,
yep,
all you hear is just Woody like, what is happening? Constantly in this video. But Ryan sits down in between the two of them. He goes, I'm singing the entire show. And he did. If you watch the video, you can hear him. So, Ryan, why don't you walk us through the family reunion Country Bear experience?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's obviously not what it used to be. It used to be a much longer show. But it's a Magic Kingdom original, so you got to have some appreciation for those original attractions. But my favorite character or bear from the Country Bear Jamboree is Big Al, and he sings a song called "Blood on the Saddle," and I think that was Woody's favorite song. She asked if there was a massacre happening.
I think Angela's response was, that can't possibly mean what I think it means. So remember, he's singing it after the lady bear has dropped from the ceiling, basically singing it to her about her. And Angela said, this can't possibly mean what I think it means.
After the lady bear who runs the bear brothel drops from the ceiling and serenades all the men in the audience, then there's a song about what happens to her once a month and why he doesn't want to go horseback riding. That's what it is. And that little dude right there from Wisconsin, this little guy, he was like, he knew all the words along with what I can only, like, she had to have been the president of the Crystal Gale fan club down in the front row. Both of them, just the entire auditorium full of their voices and clapping in time and just really getting on the video. Screw that thing. That whole thing, just barricade it. I don't even care. Barricade it.
So I've got another question about Trumpy bears. Why do all of the man bears get to wear tops, but all the lady bears just have like a boa?
Yeah.
Well, the triplets have like a little dress on.
Well, because they're children, Teets. They're children. Otherwise, it's pornography.
You don't know which ones are the baby bears, Teets? Those are baby bears. We definitely need the babies in clothes.
Also, what was with the really high bear just on the corner? You know, the really glazed over, super high bear just sitting on the corner.
He was about the most normal one. He was the only one that didn't say something blatantly racist, or subvertly or overtly, nor did he mention anything about women's menstruation. I mean, he was the average guy. That's the average bear. Not okay, kids.
You didn't like the triplets singing that all the guys that turn them on, turn them down?
They're kids. All the men.
Yeah, it's so not only is it very racist, it is so misogynistic. Like,
yes.
Me Too. How did Me Too completely miss this show? Just completely passed over it.
Oh.
Yeah, people are mad about that Splashwater Falls with Brer Rabbit and all that. Have they even seen this show? Have they even seen it? Just wander in one time, accidentally on a breeze, and look at the mayhem that is happening in the show. Like ridiculousness.
Oh man.
That's gotta go. That's gotta
go. In your dreams, talk to Walt.
Listen, Walt and I have had many middle of the night conversations in lucid dreams about this. It's out of there. Sorry. You better sit through that show 10 times when you're there in January, right? Because you're never seeing it again.
It's a good thing I film it every time then.
Every time. It's like, why are you filming this? Did you not see it the last time? You're singing along. Does your bandwidth need to be taken up? Does your data plan need more Country Bear videos?
Oh my God. Do you think you've like missed any of the overt or subvert racist comments in that show? Is that why you take?
Maybe next time something's different. I always got to make sure I got it all.
It's gross.
Like the ending may change?
I don't know. You never know.
The only thing that would make that show better is if they had
Big Al shows up in a Black Lives Matter t-shirt or something.
No, they have showers outside.
Or he's waving a rainbow flag. Like what is gonna change in that?
Afterwards and like cleanse yourself of the filth that you've just I'd pay for a shower after that.
That's what's
like out in front of everybody. That's what. Just go get a little bit more racism, and then go down a hill into some water.
Is that segment over?
So you said you had a newfound love, respect for Magic Kingdom. What happened?
The absence of children. It was magical. Strollers definitely down. Like the number of strollers in that park was greatly reduced. And I am someone, I love children. I have one. He's never been to Disney World. That to me is the perfect setup. Adults should definitely go, and then so I think one of two things. Before COVID times, I had this great idea about a stroller tax that you would have to pay. So if you brought a stroller into the park,
She's not lying.
This is a great idea. No, this is before COVID times. You bring a stroller in. There's a tax that you pay. It's based off of the number of munchkins that you try and cram in that thing, how many seats it has, and then you pay an excise tax, basically. Maybe not an excise tax, but a tax nonetheless. And then at the end of the day, everyone who didn't bring a stroller into Magic Kingdom gets a portion of the stroller tax because we're the ones that have to suffer through that stuff. That was my idea before COVID. COVID like really has shaped some families up, man. Like they're not bringing those kids unless they absolutely have to. So I thought that was really great. But Magic Kingdom just overall, like fewer people. And we did not go with you guys for the field trip. We actually stayed and we rode more rides at Magic Kingdom than I think we've ever ridden on any trip. So that was amazing. It just kind of a newfound appreciation for that place. The fewer kids that there are, kind of the more magical it is for me. So
it's kind of cool that you mentioned that because I think it'll seg into our last topic pretty effectively. Should you go to Disney? Should you, for anyone who's staying at home thinking about maybe making that January trip or a February trip, if you're here in Louisiana during Mardi Gras or spring break, or, you know, before a vaccine or before things get back to normal, should you go to Disney? What were y'all's takeaways?
So I think, like, maybe before we, like, I think it should be said or at least brought up, like, we did, because we goof around a lot, obviously, and have great personalities. But we did some adulting before this trip as a group, right? So there were 5 of us, 2 coming from Texas. So Leslie lives just a mile away from me, Ryan from Wisconsin, Keels from Louisiana, Beth from Mississippi. So coming from all of those areas.
All of them are hotspots, essentially, for the COVIDs.
So what if you, like 30 days out, we checked in with everybody and we made sure that we all got our flu shots. We did have to verify Ryan's paperwork because he turned shiesty ass paperwork. That was not really a flu shot. So we all had our flu shots, and then at least minimum 10 days out from the trip, some of us got about 12 days in, we all quarantined, right? We stayed away from places. We didn't go places. Like we checked in with each other and made sure that we were all doing the right things. And then kind of felt good once we got into the bubble of Disney. So I think it's probably important to mention that. And then when we left Disney, most of us got tested afterwards. Probably not Ryan, but the rest of us probably got tested. So I did
a PCR and I gave blood.
Yeah, so I think that needs to be part of it. So do you go to Disney World? I mean, obviously the answer for me is yes, because we've got another trip planned in January. But it's all under the guise of it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be our standard trip to Disney. It's not exactly the way that we're used to it. But even the difference between going in November and now returning in January with the idea of being able to park hop, so the new park hopping, that makes it worth it for me. I mean, those little changes will make a huge difference. Do not go there and get upset that you have to wear a mask. Like, I'm kind of done watching the reviews of the park where people are like, you have to wear a mask. They make you take your temperature. People yell at you if your masks are like, no joke. Like, really, come on. Don't go to the park and then complain about the COVID restrictions. Know that you're going to have to wait in line. I don't like not having the fast passes. That's a big downer for me. But with the way the lines are right now, it's not a huge deal to wait in line 30 to 45 minutes for some of the stuff because those are times that are unheard of any other non-COVID time. So I think you just need to be smart. Don't turn this into a family of 10 traveling and think that you're going to get a family of 10 experience. No, you have 2 groups of 5. You're never going to sit together. People don't want to put up with a group of 10. And so it might not be the time to take like a big trip. I also, like, just generally speaking, as a parent, I appreciate parents who are willing to give their kids, especially the younger ones, breaks during the day when they deserve it and when they need it. And so I will say that the COVID stuff with, kind of the absence of the smaller kids around, you really notice fewer meltdowns, fewer tantrums. You don't have to step over kids who are laying in the middle of the walkway, no spilled drinks, no thrown food. So that's nice. It kind of does have a little bit more of an adult feel. One bizarre thing though that I will say, like, and I remember it. Was it Tiffin's or Nomad's that we ate at? Nomad that day. Tiffin's, right?
Mhm.
So being in that restaurant, remember how freaking quiet it was? Like we sat down at our table and like nobody in that restaurant was talking, and then our table started talking, and people were looking at us like we were breaking every COVID rule in America. That was real weird. So I would say, like, if you're coming to Disney, when you get somewhere and you sit down, talk to the people at your table. Like, make it seem like there's interactions going on. It was just real weird sometimes, like how quiet it was in restaurants. That's all.
So I would definitely say make ADRs. Basically make an ADR for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Even if you don't plan to eat food, you're going to have a drink or a shake and a dessert or an appetizer or a snack. It gives you somewhere to sit down in the air conditioning and take that mask off. That's also a very safe place to do that. Plus, you know what? We talked about it earlier. We're here to tip the servers and help those because they're already running at lower tables. And come in, be quick, enjoy your 45 minutes in the air conditioning at the plaza with some cheese fries and a shake, and everyone tip $5.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah, I will say, if you're making a trip to Disney, be ready to tip. You better, and over tip.
Yeah. Because these people are still working very, very hard for you, and they are put in untenable conditions to do this. Like I said, I trust the people I'm with. I trust the people working there. I don't necessarily trust everyone around me, especially in pandemic times. We talked about the hotel. We talked about transportation. I think whatever numbers you guys are hearing or you're seeing about capacity, I know they finally admitted that capacity was up.
35.
For me, as someone that is there a lot of the time in off season, that goes on just pops into Hollywood Studios or Epcot or Animal Kingdom midday on a weekday, that Magic Kingdom crowd was no different than that. So that, I think I told Ryan, that felt at its highest point before we bounced out to Geyser Point, that felt 50% capacity to me. No question. And I don't know if it's because some of like the higher capacity rides weren't operating or because there's no like 3 o'clock parade to go and do stuff. I'm not really sure what it was, but that was something that was concerning to me. Should you go? I think you have to have the right expectations for it. I'm having to like readjust my expectations for dining for January. All right, Ryan, what were your travel takeaways flying? So I previously flown to come and board my house up for Hurricane Delta prior to this trip. So flying was not a new thing to me. For y'all, it was the first time you've flown since January, correct?
February for me, but
Where'd you go in February?
to your house.
Oh, that's right. You did. Oh my God. This has been the longest decade of my life this year. Yeah, that's right. You did come here. Crazy. I tried to get us back into Patos at Universal. Apparently, my gorilla strength was too much for that closed door.
Imagine that.
I didn't think flying. I mean, I flew Southwest there and then American on the way home. Southwest was doing their empty middle seats still, which they end tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day for that. But so I felt Southwest did a fine job. I brought hand sanitizer. I had an N95 mask for the flight, and I had wipes to wipe things down. They did give out snacks, no drinks, but they did have snacks. They had water if you wanted it. But otherwise, so Southwest was fine. American on the way back, I had a layover in Charlotte on the way home. My flight there was a direct flight, but I thought Charlotte was crazy crowded. The most crowded airport I was in. And I thought there was like social distancing went out the window in Charlotte. I thought I thought Milwaukee and Orlando were pretty decent. Nothing too much to complain about there. But yeah, I thought Charlotte was kind of terrible. But American's not doing any empty seats. But overall, I felt it was fine too. There wasn't nothing crazy. Everybody that I could see wore masks the whole time. So,
Angela?
Yeah, so pretty much what Ryan is saying. We had a direct flight, DFW to MCO. We always fly Spirit. They were not. They had stopped doing middle seat open a while back. So I was a little nervous about that, but really it turned out to be fine. Everybody wore their masks. There weren't any incidents. DFW was super chill on a Wednesday afternoon. There wasn't a lot of foot traffic there. The flight was fine. MCO was fine. We didn't really have any issues, in that regard. I will say I didn't wear an N95 mask. I kind of forgot. And Leslie had brought hers, and she's a little bit more of I don't want to say germaphobe, but she's a little more cognizant of it. So she actually ended up wearing the N95. I did not. I just double masked. And yeah, I mean, it was fine. I didn't have any issues with the flight. But again, I'm somebody who's not, like, if I'm ever in a situation where I feel like somebody is too close to me, I don't have a problem saying or making it apparent by my body language that they need to get away from me. So
I'm really shocked that you didn't have to holler at anyone to get away from us this trip, because I was for sure that was going to happen.
Listen, when we're walking through a park and we're all wearing our matching outfits, like, there's like select people that are going to mess with us, because otherwise they're just like, people are either like don't want anything to do with us because they think we're weird, or they're secretly jealous because we looked amazing the whole trip. So
yeah, I will say I told them the N95 masks, if you haven't tried one, they are perfect for flying because you can fit them a little bit better. They stick out a little bit more, so breathing is easier than the ones that are super close to your face. My other travel tips for Disney: it is so hot. Also, it rains. Also, water rides. All of the cute Disney masks that you can buy that look like characters and stuff like that are so fine. But the minute they get sweaty, you're going to be miserable. So the best thing is to buy the pack of like 50 3-ply paper masks that you can throw away. Keep a couple of those with you, especially if you're going to go on like Splash Mountain or anything that has some water, or when it rains, or just gets humid in your mask and you just have to just toss it. Hand sanitizer everywhere. If you can find wet ones that come in the little packs, like single packs, buy those, because after a while, like, my hands get really dry from just too much of the gooey hand sanitizer, which is what Disney has and Universal uses. It's weird that we even know what kind of hand sanitizer feels better on our skin now, when it used to just be like, hey, whatever. But traveling is up to you. I felt fine. So my Spirit flight on the way back did have middle rows empty, which was surprising, but we don't usually get really full flights going from here to generally anywhere. Like, our city government only allows the airport to be open at 3 specific times during the day to reduce staffing and stuff. So there was that. But
and maybe one other important thing about at least for me, like, hydration. It is hard to stay hydrated now in the parks, because you can't,
especially when it's like 100.
Yeah, so I would say, like, have a really good hydration plan. I know that sounds like some adult shit you don't want to have to deal with, but really, like, chug the water in the evenings, chug it in the morning before you head out to the parks, because
bring a swimsuit.
Yeah, I think you don't realize like how much, or I didn't realize like how much I'm constantly drinking when I'm in the parks, and to not do that when you're walking, that makes a huge difference. And it's real weird, especially when you're with a group. It's not convenient to always stop to drink half a glass of water or to chug a bottle of water. So I've those masks that have like the little slit or the insert, like the flap basically where you can stick a straw in. I swear to God, I'm looking at those for January, because it's just weird. It's weird to have to stop all the time to drink water.
Yeah.
And I do like the queues, and I didn't notice this as much at Disney, although Keely, you pointed out to me at some point, or maybe it was at uni. No, I think it was at Disney. where basically there's a point in the queue where you can't drink anymore. So in some queues, like it's okay up until you get to a certain point. So I need to pay more attention to that because I wasn't really doing it.
Like some will tell you right away, Magic Kingdom, it was basically every queue. They're like, you cannot drink in there. Animal Kingdom was a little bit more lax. Hollywood Studios was the laxest about it.
Yeah.
And then Universal, they didn't really care. But I think it's just people just take advantage of not wearing the mask by, oh, well, I'm constantly with this water bottle to my mouth, so I don't have to wear a mask. So there's always going to be, people that try and take advantage of any situation so they don't have to do what is good for the greater good of the world.
Right.
All right. Anything else before we wrap this up?
No, I think we did a pretty good job covering everything.
Looking forward to
highlights. Yeah.